The grand final played at Rye versus Tookarook. Tim Cashmore won the toss and batted. Sorrento recovered after early wickets. David Hyde anchored the innings, making a chanceless 108. Others chipped in along the way, Morks 34, Peterson 19. The final score a healthy 257. Brad Morgan was the star of the ball, taking 5 for 42 as the Sorrows won by 83 runs to break a 19-year premiership drought. Premiership team: Mel Woods, David Hyde, Darren Long, Brian Watson, Brad Morgan, John Wilson, Tim Cashmore, Mitch Woods, Bruce Peterson, Todd Wilson, Brad Phillips and Danny Morks. After the 1990 premiership, the club's first 11 endured a tough decade results-wise, spending most of the decade in the bottom half of the sub-district. The club did continue to grow, especially growing its juniors, and this would bear fruit in later years. This photo, a third 11 premiership from the 90s, features several Sorrento juniors at the time: David Lawson, Nick Davin, Tim Simons, Mark Groves, Cameron Cairns. Also, Sorrento Life members Ian Hobby, Peter Hall, the now Life member Ray Thomas and Jeff Morgan. In 1993-94, Peter Hall became captain coach. Poss, as most of us know him, began playing cricket for Doveton aged 11. He finished his juniors with 3 seasons at Sorrento. After a break of 5 years and 9 years at Doveton, he relocated to Rye, and after seeing the Sorrento captain coach job advertised in the paper and having been approached by John Wilson, he took on the job. Pete embodies what makes a great clubman, always putting time into juniors and others. Pete has donated thousands of hours to help make Sorrento Cricket Club a better place. He enjoys others' success more than his own. He was recognised for this with life membership in 2008 and continues on within the club as president today. On field, Pete has played 92 first 11 games, and he still holds out hope of breaking into the 100 club by getting back into the ones next week. He captained the seconds to a premiership and was president for our last 2 premierships. Another highlight of the 90s was the emergence of Sorrento junior Darren Groves. After winning a league medal for Sorrento, Darren would go on to become Sorrento's most successful junior product. Leaving Sorrento and going to Frankston Peninsula, he would go on to take over 400 premier wickets and make it to play in the Victorian second 11 team. Ray Thomas, another who would put in endless hours to make Sorrento Cricket Club a better place, arrived in the 90s. Here he is receiving his life membership last year. And a younger photo of Ray. Ray's wife Michelle is always heard at Sorrento games yelling out, "Go Sorras!" Another to earn life membership last year is Richard King, otherwise known as Dickie. Dickie played junior cricket at Sorrento, rising up through the ranks to play in the first in the 90s. Since, he has gone on to captain the fourth 11. Dickie puts in hours of work to the annual Back the Front Day raffle. 1990s. The 90s was not an era of stability. The club had 9 different captains. Notable people throughout the 90s were Brendan Richardson, Glenn Bomford, Mick Hewitt, Mel Woods, Matt Simons, Rory McKenzie, Clint Woods, Jason Lane, Darren Long, Ben McDonald, Ash Rickard, Brad Morgan, Ryan Johnson, Tim Simons, Ajis Lasantha, our first overseas recruit, Craig Whelan. Towards the end of the 90s, a new breed was starting to come through, which would result in later success. They were Luke Davin, Nick Davin, Adam Bryant, Dave Lawson, Peter Miller. The 90s also saw the tragic death of popular clubman Mick McGlosky, who our second 11 champion trophy is named after. Notable performances: Rory McKenzie, Danny Morks, Brian Watson, Ryan Johnson, David Hyde and Darren Long with centuries. Adam Bryant, Ben McDonald, John Wilson, Brad Morgan, Darren Groves, Craig Whelan with excellent bowling performances.
Was that good enough for a Sorrento player, you reckon? Take 2 or what? Oh, jeez, I don't know. Boys, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really sorry I can't be with you tonight. I really wish I was. Have a great evening. Cheryl and Danny, if you're there, remember, drinking in the car before before the game is not as good as drinking in the car after the game. And to you, Bradley Morgan, your eyes bloodshot. You been drinking or is it something else? And to Head and Dale, lapping pads. When you're out, you're out. Norm Shaw, you got most of your wickets by the batsman just looking at your feet the way you bowled. Not with. I'm really sorry making you bowl up the hill. Sass Callaghan, well, he could only bowl down the hill. He wouldn't have made it. To Brenny and Caney, thanks for not helping me clean the crayfish smell out of my car that lasted 6 months. And to you, Morgo, green box and all, beer in hand. All I can say to the boys, 20th century boys, what a win, 1990. What a win. The master batsman, David Hyde. Apparently he's not there either, Mr. Squiggle. To the 21st century lads, the next win will just make it all the sweeter. That's all I can say from me. Go the Sorras.
Good evening. Brian Headley Watson here. I'm sorry I couldn't make it in person tonight, but I did want to say a few words. I grew up in Sorrento and the cricket club was a big part of my life. I have great memories of being the first captain of the Sorrento under-16s. I also remember playing the centenary match against Rye, which ended in a draw. During my time with the Sorrows, I was lucky enough to be part of 2 premierships and play with some of Sorrento's finest cricketers. I hope you have a fantastic night and also a great season. Go Sorrows!